So what we put forward was what we characterized as actions of last resort. I described them as last resort because we have a broken property tax system in the city. We have one that can barely stand up in court. And my goal is to reform that system to what we are hoping for, what we will spend every day looking towards, is working with Albany to increase taxes on the wealthiest and the most profitable corporations such that a fiscal crisis is not resolved on the backs of working and middle-class New Yorkers.
So if all that fails, he plans to increase property taxes by 9.5%. And Governor Kathy Hokul and state lawmakers have shown little appetite for the tax the rich approach. That leaves the fallback plan, the sweeping property tax that's going to impact residential units and also commercial properties across all 5 boroughs.
So what happened to all of the free? You get a free bus, you get free rent, you get free this, you get free. We don't get free anything, right? Now he's going to raise the property taxes. Who knew that was on the agenda? Who knew? Especially with his tenant advocate, Sia Weaver, who says that if any of the landlords have any kind of issues with their repairs, that they're going to go and make sure the landlords fix all of their properties that are in disrepair. And if they're not fixed, they're going to take the properties from them. So now he's going to raise the property taxes on everyone in an already unaffordable place to live for most city residents. He claims this is the nuclear option, just in case Albany doesn't agree to tax the rich. But this is an election year, and Governor Kathy Hokul is not going to increase the taxes, not with the threat of most of Wall Street moving to Texas where they have another exchange. So the only option really for Mamdani to fix the budget, right, is to tax homeowners that are already taxed at an exorbitant amount. I have a friend that lives in a city, and her taxes right now are at least, I want to say about $15,000. What's a 9% tax? It's probably more than that, to be honest with you. What's a 9% tax going to do with someone that's already paying that? And then if you have a tenant, most of these tenants are paying $2,500, I want to say, is on the low end of a rent in a private house. Okay, if you're already paying $2,500 and you're not making much, you need money to eat, right? You have a child, you need money for uniforms, you need money for school lunches, you need money to travel here and there, you need money to wash your clothes, you need money to do any and everything in New York, right? Forget about the extracurricular activities. Forget about going to a movie now and then, which will cost a family of 4 about $100, okay, for popcorn, for Slurpees, for maybe a snack or something like that, and a movie ticket. Who can afford to live in New York? I mean, really, you're going to cause that person that's barely surviving not to be able to buy a vegetable to add to a mashed potato, to a full meal. Okay, so, again, New York, what are you doing? This is what you voted for. This is what happens when you have an inexperienced person elected to a major city office like this. But let's continue to hear.
He's also proposing a $1.2 billion taking that from the city's rainy day fund and also from retiree healthcare reserves. Critics warn that this will hit middle-class homeowners and renters who are already dealing with high living costs.
Tax the rich.
And what if he can't?
Then we're in trouble. Basically, I
No
don't
kidding.
think so. Because the last option he has is something like $3.5 billion taxing property taxes. The rent is going to go up.
On the emotional knee-jerk side of it, yeah, you make a statement about taxes going up, people go, oh. But, when you see the details of how it really works, that's what I'd like to know.
2 prominent Democrats from New York City Council are slamming the idea, saying, quote, at a time when New Yorkers are already grappling with an affordability crisis, dipping into rainy day reserves and proposing significant property tax increases should not be on the table whatsoever. So considering that the mayor ran on protecting tenants in the most expensive city in the world, this isn't sitting well with many locals, as you can imagine, and also with many people close to him as well. So we'll be keeping a close eye to see if this fallout, how the fallout really goes between Albany and City Hall, and see who inevitably ends up footing this bill.
And now let's hear from the city comptroller about Mamdani's plan to raise taxes across the board.
We don't have the ability to wrap up an entire city budget in 6 or 7 minutes here. But what is your view of the mayor's announcement yesterday? Is this political theater to try to push Albany in a direction he wants them to go?
The mess we're in is real. We have the biggest budget gap since the Great Recession.
Oh, I'm 100% acknowledging that there's a shortfall. But there also seems to be this real push to get the tax on the wealthy, and I don't know how actually serious the mayor is about this property tax increase.
Well, we do have to fill the gap. We have a limited number of tools to do it. None are easy. I happen to think that a property tax would be a very big mistake. It's an unequal system that actually has a heavier burden on working class homeowners in communities of color. And to add more taxes onto that unequal system is not the right strategy. So we've got to look for other answers.
Which could include spending cuts, which we didn't talk too much about yesterday. The mayor said that he doesn't think that you could find more than 2 or 2.5% in savings on the spending side.
I think we probably are going to have to, and that is not easy, but there are more efficiencies if we push hard. We have some very big programs, Pat, that are growing so fast. We have this housing voucher program known as City Faps, is growing at 4 or 5% a month. We're also probably going to have to look at reconfiguring some of those fast-growing programs. We are definitely going to need more help from Albany. We don't get our fair share. The city pays way more in taxes than we get back.
So why would you think about increasing taxes?
I think if we do all those things together, we can get through this.
What do you think of the assertions of the Mamdani administration that they were left with a worse situation from Mayor Adams than they realized they were inheriting?
We were handed a very bad fiscal situation. It's
Why?
shocking that we're having this conversation in the midst of a strong economy where tax revenues are up across every category. We're not in a fiscal crisis because we're in a recession or a pandemic. And that should be a wake-up call to all of us about bad fiscal practices. And one of the worst has been big programs that we know are coming that were not reflected in the budget. It's been going on for years. It got really bad in the last year or two.
No.
And to the current mayor's credit, to Mayor Mamdani's credit, he's acknowledging that.
No, you have to be honest about this. Mayor Mamdani didn't acknowledge that Mayor Adams, he claimed it was Mayor Adams' fault, actually, that the budget crisis happened. When all of those immigrants, illegal immigrants, were being bussed into the city, okay, and were being paid using federal funds, billions of dollars to house these illegal immigrants, to give them SNAP benefits, to give them cash cards. I mean, some of them had like $3,000 to $6,000 on their cards. I mean, stuff that they didn't give normal New Yorkers, food stamps and cash assistance. And then when Mayor Adams said, hey, this is no longer sustainable, we can't do this any longer, what did they do? They trumped up federal charges against them. Do you guys remember that? When next thing you know, this attorney general gets on the stage and he and his administration started to be blamed for doing some kind of federal crimes. And the thing about it is, I know people that worked with Adam and worked in his administration. And they said as long as they knew him, this guy has been straight arrow, even as a cop. You know, he always obeyed the law and didn't want to do anything wrong. So for them to come back with this allegation that he committed some kind of federal crime by riding on a Turkish airway or something ridiculous like that, whatever it was just a blatant use of democratic weaponry, warfare that they did with Big Tish and the other fat guy, whatever his name was. The same thing that they did to Donald Trump. When you don't play by the Democrats' rule book, when you don't play ball with them, they come after you. And that's what they did to Mayor Adams. So that's what happened with the fiscal crisis. It was all of the illegal immigrants that they housed, that they spent money on for Medicaid and everything else that caused that fiscal crisis. Anytime you have a large population of immigrants that come in like that, it's unsustainable. It's already unsustainable for New York anyway, for the residents itself. The residents need help sometimes with food, with rent, with emergency care. You know, all of that stuff should be for the citizens of New York City, not for a flood of people coming in at one time. That's why there's a fiscal crisis. But I want you to hear from Grant Cardone, a billionaire who's talking about the crisis that a lot of these Democratic cities are having with the billionaires leaving, because Mamdani's threatening that if the billionaires don't pay up, if Kathy Hochul doesn't allow them to tax the rich, that they're going to, cause these taxes to go across the board to property owners. What's going to happen? But Grant Cardone is going to break down exactly what's already been happening and what's going to happen at a greater level. So let's get into that. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share.
Grant Cardone is the CEO of Cardone Capital, moved his family, his business to Florida from California, like so many others, that capital flight. Grant, isn't it surreal that these unrealized gains and wealth taxes are being legitimately pushed as if we've never learned this lesson?
I don't get it, Rob. I tell you, billionaires should be rewarded, not penalized. They should pay lower taxes, not more taxes. Look, they're the great innovators in our country. The top 5 market cap companies on planet Earth all come from the United States of America. They're the biggest employers, biggest risk takers, biggest innovators. They're the world changers, and they should be rewarded, not penalized. Just this week, in the last 2 weeks, we've had Meta move down here to Miami.
Yeah.
We've had Palantir today announced. Yeah. We've had Amazon's moved in. Hundreds of billions of dollars is being invested in Miami, escaping California, New York, and Illinois because of this. It just simply doesn't work.
The idea is that people think that the only way that a person has value in a society is based on how much, I guess, they pay in taxes. You make a great point, though. It's a gutsy thing to say, but these wealthy people that have major corporations and companies, the Jeff Bezos, all these people, think about how much prosperity they have created, how many jobs, how much wealth they've created, far from ever being taxed.
And everywhere they go, they spend money. Like, I don't understand that people don't understand the basic math a 5-year-old kid can understand. More money is going to follow rich people than poor people. No offense to the poor people, but it's always been like that. And taxing the rich and the innovators and the risk takers is only going to prevent those that want to come up not be able to come up. Yeah. And you can see the way many of the things, the patterns that you showed, the rich people will escape the taxes. Yeah. So by taxing them and penalizing them, all you're doing is they don't take risk.
Yeah, it is. It's something. And to watch, you're not a New York guy, and I don't blame you for not doing business here. I got to live here, and to watch our mayor
you don't have to.
today.
You don't have to.
I kind of do. But to watch our mayor today telling Kathy Hochul, essentially, it looked like it was like a bargain. Like he was basically holding the city hostage. He said, effectively, if you don't agree to raise taxes on the rich, which you're now saying you won't, I'm going to raise property taxes on the 8 or 10 million people in New York, including the lower middle class, everybody. And it's like you're starting to look at this guy that he was the hero. He was this populist socialist hero, and he's now basically holding a gun to all of our heads and saying, I'm gonna do this unless you raise the taxes on the rich. What a terrible look.
It's a terrible look, man. Remember, you want to be in flows of money. You want to move to where money is for all the middle class of America that's out there hustling and working and doesn't want a handout. What you really want is lower taxes on every group of people. And especially at the top tier, you want to drop the tax rate, quit giving that money to the politicians that basically just give it to their to their favorite groups of people. Reward the billionaire, don't penalize them.
And here's the thing, when you keep the billionaire in the state and in the city, they're inspired to hire more people, but they're inspired to keep innovating, creating, and expanding. And when they do, they're going to need people, right, to work in their offices and their companies. And the city and state will prosper as a result of it. And statistics have shown the more job opportunities in a city, the lower the crime rate. But let me know what you think about this. Okay. And make sure you like, subscribe, and share. I'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.